Okay, so today is Monday, July 25th. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in Western Hungary. I am in the stateroom with Hey Kitty, and we are sailing down the Danube towards Budapest. Earlier this morning, though, we were in Slovakia. We docked in Bratislava, and it was such an amazing little city to visit. It is the capital, but it is quite small. Unfortunately, we were only there for a few hours. I wish we could have been there a couple more hours to see everything I wanted to see, but we were able to capture some of the highlights from Bratislava.
Our walking tour started with a stop by the American Embassy.
Nearby where the city walls once stood are these fountains, which were where the moat once was.
Here marks a spot where one of the city gates once stood.
Next, we headed into the city where we saw these cute little streetcars.
This is a memorial to Slovakian Jews, most of whom were sent to Auschwitz-Birkenau and perished there.
It stands in the middle of these ruins of a former synagogue, which was torn down not by the Nazis, but by Slovakian communist authorities to make way for a bridge. Here are some remnants of the former city walls, which were removed during the reign of Maria Theresa in order to open up the city more. The walls at one time had 4 city gates. Only one of the gates is still standing today, but unfortunately, it is under renovation, and this is all we could see, like a Chicagoan skyscraper. Next, we move to St. Martin's Cathedral. It is the largest in Slovakia, but you'll notice it is much smaller than the other cathedrals we have seen. And that makes sense because Bratislava was and still is much smaller than the other cities. The cathedral was constructed in 1452 and is in the Gothic style. Bratislava, though not Hungarian at all, was once the capital city of the Kingdom of Hungary, a province of the Austrian Empire. As such, 18 Austrian coronations took place in this church. After the coronation ceremony, the monarch and his or her procession would go through the city along this pathway marked with these crowns. Back inside the church, one unique feature you would discover here is this aerial view of the crypt below. Next, after leaving the church, we saw this cute little alley and followed the Coronation route towards the center of the city, where we saw this house constructed in the 1500s. Continuing along the Coronation route, this would have been the very route that Maria Theresa took when she was crowned Queen of Hungary. At this point, you could turn around and see the Bratislava castle. Unfortunately, though, this is not the original castle. The original castle was attacked by Napoleon in the 1800s and bombarded so heavily that a fire broke out and left the castle in ruins. The reconstruction of the castle took place in the mid-1900s. Next, we headed to the small but quite pretty Old Town Square. The Old Town Hall, which you can see here, is the oldest in Slovakia. The town hall is comprised of the tower, which was built in 1370, and 3 adjoining townhomes, which you can see in the picture. Continuing around the town square, you will see a fountain and then the French embassy, which in front of it is a statue of Napoleon. There's the embassy, and there's Napoleon. Napoleon never did conquer Bratislava, but he was given money to leave the city alone. Here's a close-up view of the fountain before we headed over to see the very famous statue of the man emerging from the sewer. On our way back to the ship, we saw more cute streetcars. And of course, the suspension bridge. It's very famous, very popular. It has a restaurant on top called the UFO restaurant.